what we want to know is a bit how it was to organize mobilities during this time of the pandemic.
Difficult, very difficult, but you just have to roll with the punches. So originally we send students to Marseille and Seville, and we normally send about 45 participants to Seville. But obviously the rate of infection and was really high, so we had to cancel the placements there, and the same in Marseille. So that was really, really tough. And we had half of our participants were confirmed to go. And so we had to say to them that unfortunately their work placement wasn't going ahead. So that was obviously very disappointing for them and very disappointing for us. But then that has its own difficulties as well. Like, we still want to run the program. What are we going to do? So we did a lot of research. This was around kind of June and July time. And we managed to find new host partners, both with yourself and another guys in Crete, which was fantastic. So that was tough, but also it was a kind of a proud moment, because we managed to run mobilities in the end, and we got to send 32 students both to Prague, Lisbon, Sicily, and also Crete. So it was difficult, but you just have to go. You just have to go.
How do you think it's important for a student to have any way the mobility, even if in this time?
I think because, like, for instance, in Sicily, like the 5 girls that we sent from Capacity Ireland, like we have one girl that's working in the art gallery. That is an internship that she just be able to do over in Ireland, for instance, because all the art galleries are completely closed here. We have another girl working in graphic design, which is fantastic. So they're doing opportunities that they wouldn't be able to get at home. And not only are they in Sicily, they get to experience the culture, and they get to have amazing weather when they wouldn't be able to do that here, for instance, in Ireland.
So if you have to suggest to someone else which is actually doing our job, what you would say? Because a lot of people, at the moment they are just trying to postpone as much as possible the mobility. But I think it's important to send a kind of message and say to the people that it's possible anyway. So of course it's required a bigger effort to do it, but anyway, somehow it's possible.
Yeah, well, I think, like, for instance, in Ireland, there's a massive lockdown kind of happening. We're in like level 3 restrictions, which means there's no in restaurants you can only eat outside. There can only be 15 people. There can only be 15 tables. There's no clubs open. There's no cultural events happening. There's no events, and there's no bars open. When in Italy, all those things there is restrictions in place, but all those things are open. So at least they're having kind of a more fulfilling kind of life over there. So I think it's better that they're over there, and I think it's safer in a way that they're in Sicily rather than in Ireland or London.
Okay, I don't know so far so when we will keep being everything open, because also here,
you have your own restrictions as well. Yeah.
My point is also at the moment we feel really afraid of this virus spread all over Europe, but actually we don't know how long it does last. So how long we can put our life in standby and waiting that something is happening. I think it's, my point of view, I think it's better to do something how we did. So trying to work and find a new way to work in this pandemic than just
you have to learn to adapt with it and be flexible and live with the virus rather than hide away from it. Because if we do that, that's no form of life, No, so I 100% agree with you. You just have to kind of go for it in a way.
So, are you in contact with the students at the moment, for sure? Which kind of feedback you are receiving of the students at the moment?
Yeah, so all the feedback has been extremely positive. They love their work placements, and they love the weather. They love the excursions that you plan for them. And and they're just really grateful the experience that they're doing at the moment, which they originally thought wasn't possible. So that's fantastic to hear that. And like one of the questions that, because we had one-to-one sessions with them last week, and one of the questions that we asked was like, do you feel safe? And in terms of the virus in your host country, and all of them said, yeah, they feel very safe. They feel safer than they would if they were living in Ireland or in the UK. So that was really, really good to hear. But yeah, all really, really positive feedback. So that's a credit to you guys.
Quite comfortable in terms of the way that I feel like Capacity London and also EprojectConsult have made me feel very comfortable with the whole process of travelling, and it felt completely alright whilst we got here, and I haven't felt out of place or unnerved in any situation so far.
I felt quite safe travelling during COVID. We were obviously quite used to the rules by then, so it wasn't really anything different. At the airport, we obviously had to wear our masks, and they had measures in place to make sure that we were socially distant. Yeah, didn't make much difference.
I think it's fine. It's a little bit different. We must wear masks, but it's okay.
It was the first time traveling. It was nice. I was a little bit afraid to fly, but everything went well and we got a good flight.
Yes, it's different than before, but it's possible, and I felt quite safe during my flight and traveling, my training or bouncing in Italy.
Yes, I did the swab in Spain, and I got the result 3 days later. And then when we came here, we got the blood test, and we got the result the same day.
Yeah, I got tested before I left Aberdeen. I had to get a private test because I couldn't get one on the NHS because I didn't have symptoms. And then we got tested again when we arrived here.
Yes, we had to be tested 72 hours before coming to Italy.
Yeah, I think here in Italy they've handled it a lot better. They obviously had a lot of cases at the start, and so did Scotland and the UK. But since then, the UK's been back into like separate lockdowns, and Aberdeen was in a local lockdown as well. So I think the way it is here, it's shown that they've handled it better and have better measures in place to make sure that it isn't getting out of control again.
In some ways, yes, but I think that it's also been a very good response in terms of that everyone is being responsible, people wearing the masks when they need to is safe. I think that's paramount in this whole experience, that people are trying to make us as safe as possible whilst being able to experience.
No more. I think here is a little good.
People in Slovakia are a little bit scared, but people I met in Italy, they seem pretty calm about the situation.
I don't say difficult because I'm very happy here, but I can see some changes from last years because of planning free time for guys, because we don't have a lot of possibilities like before. For example, to play football on beach and swimming pool and so on, but it's okay. Beach and sea is always here.
I don't think it's made my stay here difficult. I think I'm getting the same experience now as I would have gotten if COVID hadn't been here. You can see there's like a few shops or restaurants that are maybe closed, obviously because of it, but everything's quite similar, I think.
No, I don't think so. I think that it has made me feel worried at some points when there's large groups of people in the streets or something, but I haven't felt actively worried about it whilst I've been at work or in the accommodation. think everyone's taking the precautions that they can to implement safety where it is possible.
In normal activities, absolutely no. People in receiving companies are very friendly and open to us. We can travel by public transport. Only I am more afraid of complications. More afraid than before, but I trust to my Italian partner and my travel insurance.
At work, I have to wear my mask, and for the shop, I think people have to make appointments before coming in. But that's just how it was at home, so it's not any different, really.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel safe in work?
Yeah, I feel very safe in work. They've got all the measures in place to make sure that I'm always safe and I'm never coming into like too close contact with anyone. So yeah, I feel very safe.
No, it didn't have a lot of impact in my work placement because whenever I feel like I can progress on the work from home, I do that and then we need to catch up. So it's not like I'm here full time the whole day and we can still manage to keep the work progressing.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel safe in the gallery when you're here?
Yes.
I tend to think that it is, I feel almost in a way that I've escaped from a lot of the pandemic. It hasn't reached Sicily in the same way as it has in the UK. And I also feel like the way that everyone is responding to it is taking it very seriously, as like this could be something that's quite severely troubling for the community. So I think that everyone's taking safety precautions seriously. So in order to reduce the potential threat that could pose to the local communities.
The time of that trip was changed. That's a little disturbed my plans, but at the end, it's fine. No problems here.
I don't think it's impacted it too much. Like I said before, I think I'm still getting pretty much the same experience, especially with work. Everything I do is digital, it's all like online. It's not as if I'm going to be in crowds of people or anything, so I think I would just be doing the exact same.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
I feel it's similar, as I said, like when I was in Spain, it's really similar. As long as we respect the rules, it doesn't change very much.
Great, that's everything, thank you.
Thank you.
So, how did you feel about hosting employees from abroad during the Covid-19 pandemic?
I think it changed a little, just respect to the roles.
And what were your expectations of hosting a work placement during Covid-19?
The mission doesn't change. It's important to respect the regulation.
And how did you feel at the end of the experience though? Have your initial expectations changed?
But I think that the summary doesn't change nothing.
And this emergency will and is making us stronger for many aspects, also at the level of logistics. And I think what we did good and what we are doing good, I don't know if you agree, is that we are reacting to this emergency.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's when you think about the nature of the Erasmus projects, it's the number one thing that coronavirus is making difficult, which is moving around and traveling around and everything. So obviously at the beginning it was a big shock. We also had like a very big group abroad in also like in Spain, for example, where the pandemic, as you know, was one of the first countries where it hit very, very hard, like in Italy. So of course at the beginning it was a big headache, okay, a really big headache. And of course it's the first time in the modern world, that something like this happens. So no one really knew how to react. It's super difficult. So, we were a bit naively thinking, oh, maybe we can send some people in April or in May. This is over. No, and of course, now it's 15th of October, and it seems like it's starting all over again, no? So it's very difficult. But as you said, we've already had all this almost, 7 months since the beginning of the pandemic really hit in Europe, no? And we have all that experience. And at some point, I think the world has to get going again, no? So I think the work that we did, sending, as you said, 11 people to Sicily, it's super important, no? And of course, taking all the measurements, like things that if you speak about it 1 year ago, you wouldn't think, oh, you have to get a test, you have to get a special insurance, you have to look for flights because they might not be flights, in a super interconnected world. No, so it's a few things that you wouldn't, if you ask someone 1 year ago, like before traveling, did you get tested? No one will be like, get tested for what?
Yes,
no?
Yes.
So it's definitely an exercise of adapting. It's very difficult, but I definitely think it's possible if you take all the necessary measurements.
We at EprojectConsult, what I see that was our advantage is that as Sicilian, we are very flexible in general, because as a culture, we are very flexible. And I think this quality of being flexible is a good skill to have. How do you feel about that? You're not Sicilian. Do you have this skill?
I am not Sicilian, but yeah, I think I totally agree with that. I mean, and I think it's one skill that we will have only not for the next few months, but also for the rest of our lives. I was joking with my colleagues back in March that if in the future you get another job and you go to the interview and they tell you, tell me about a difficult situation at work and what did you do to sort it? And I was like, I have 2 words for you: COVID-19. But yeah, it's absolutely. I think in these times it's essential to be flexible. But yeah, I mean, like it's very difficult with the Erasmus program, to try to deliver projects when you have like sort of like the European Commission saying, oh, I mean, like, we know it's difficult, you have to try, but we understand if you don't try, but but we have to keep the ball rolling, really. And yeah, it's it's just a bit frustrating that you cannot say, I will send you this amount of people this day, because then maybe you work towards that, and then all of a sudden the countries close, the borders, everything, and it's like, all right, we cannot do it anymore, and there is obviously an expense behind it and everything. So yeah, I think the most important thing here is adapting and being flexible, as you said, and I think it's something that from Capacity London and from your side, from Roca, the EprojectConsult, it's something that you're also doing very, very well, no?
So yes, the positive message is that in the future, I guess, everything will look easier, and we are going to be stronger with the skills that we earned. We improve and we increase it in ourselves. So yes, maybe we lost 1 year for many things, for traveling, for hunting or whatever, but we will earn them as a matter of skills. This, I think, my message.